Today I'm doing this live stream because I had a mission. I had a mission to talk with more crypto CMOs in the space. I think we have a bunch of experience that needs to be shared. Uh, and thanks, Pedro, for accepting this invite. Pedro is with us here right now.
Yeah, no
And
problem, man. Excited.
no problem. Uh, Please feel free to introduce yourself. Like, who is Pedro, and what is the origin story of you in crypto? Feel
Yeah,
free.
yeah. So name's Pedro. I've been in crypto for God, 5, 6 years, but I haven't been in crypto Twitter or anything like that, other than me just buying like Ethereum and Bitcoin on the side. I haven't been in crypto Twitter. I joined August 2023. So I first joined, and really my first week is when an app called FriendTech launched. So I joined FriendTech, really loved like kind of the social fi aspect, and just became passionate about that kind of industry. And then that obviously brought me to Time.fun. So been in crypto Twitter for what, less than 2 years, and but been on the Time.fun team for nine-ish months now.
Hmm. And it's interesting because Friends Tech, I remember like it was ending of 2023, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. And well, they started in August of 2023, or maybe they started the week before me, but I started in August of 2023. And then, yeah, they died after a few months.
yeah, yeah. So the name Time.fun remembers I think everyone of Pump.fun. But at the same time it has this social fi aspect that is very
Yeah.
close to friend stack. So for anyone that doesn't know what time.fun is, please introduce ourselves to that.
Yeah, yeah. So first, first thing, one of the things that my founder and CEO Kaz would always say is, we were the second dot fun, and now I know dot fun is now like the popular thing to do now. But yeah.
Yeah.
So Time dot fun is an app that allows you to connect and invest in different founders, creators. So how it works is essentially, let's say you wanted to connect with Toli, right, the founder of Solana. How
Yeah.
would you do that without Time Fund? You would maybe try to message him on X, and oh wait, he doesn't have messages on X. Okay, maybe I'll comment on his post on X. Maybe I'll find a friend to meet in the middle. But like, how will you actually get in contact with him? It's really tough. So what Time Fund allows you to do is connect with those people instantly. So Totally could set a time or set a price of his time. So he might say, hey, one DM right now for Totally is $500. He might say, hey, it's $10 per minute for a phone call or a video call, or maybe he'll launch an auction, just different ways that users can connect with him. And you can actually get that instant access to them. And the reason it's called Time.fun is, right, it's what is your time worth? So Totally can really decide that, or any creator who's on it can really decide that amount. And on the user side, what's exciting is not only, like I mentioned, you can finally connect with people that you wouldn't be able to otherwise, but it's also the cool investing component, the crypto investing component, right? So you can speculate. Let's say that you met somebody that you feel like is the next Toli. Maybe you're going to buy their time early, hold on to it, and sell it later for a profit. Maybe you'll hold on to it because you want to connect with them later when they're bigger. Like, just different ways that you can really invest in the creator as well. And the cool thing is, the creator not only makes that money by obviously like answering the DMs and the calls, but they also make money on every single trade of their time as well. So it's really a passive income for creators, an active income for creators, and again, the great use cases for users as well.
I love it. I love the. I remember talking with some friends back in the day when we were talking about this concept about social fi, creator economy, how to invest because it's tough to
Yeah,
invest in creators, right? It is. There is no many venues that you can do it. So,
for
uh,
sure, for sure.
uh, so just jumping into the CMO role, like. Um, what is the behind the scenes, backstage, day to day work that you do behind time.fun?
Yeah, I'd say the day to day changes often, but it's a mixture of like outreach to users or outreach to creators to join the app, creating the content and videos, whether we're going to have like a big product release or even the smaller things, that different content there. Have a lot of strategy meetings, partnership meetings. You'll see some of those partnerships come up in the next couple of weeks of different apps that we're partnering with as well. A lot of it has to do with the UX design. So, like, if you look at what our app looks like now and how it's going to be constantly updating, we're working on that as well. And then the rest of it is honestly just like research and analytics. So like understanding what's working well about the platform, what's not, how do we improve it, and then outside of outreach, just some other awareness plays that we're working on. So it's really a lot of different things that a marketing role would do outside of just like social media, right?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I was talking with a friend of mine recently, and we were understanding that like the ecosystem part, the partnerships part of
Yeah,
crypto marketing is very very important. Like it's one of
yeah,
the first things that you do because you get a social proof real quickly. You get awareness from other communities, the people that are audiences that are following these partners
yeah.
get the like reach it. So yeah, I think it's a big component. And you mentioned something interesting about product like UX and stuff. um, I would ask you like oftentimes like I worked in two different DeFi startups in the past, and often I like it was hard for the social slash communications and growth department to convince product to change something in the roadmap or to enhance some feature that would benefit the growth,
Yeah.
uh, but not their roadmap. So how do your team leads like with that kind of situation?
I think the good thing about having our small team and our small team being together for so long is that we're very transparent and we are okay with disagreeing. Like I might want a certain feature to come first, our CEO might want a different one, and our lead dev might want a different one. So like we're never gonna always be like on the same page, right? As a company, in the end, we will make a joint decision and move forward. But yeah, I mean that always happens. I will say though that our team does a really good job of being creator and user friendly first. So it's not about what is the next cool product that we think or what is the next big revenue driver. And it's more about like, what are creators asking for? What is something that we can make better for them? And that oftentimes comes from either the users coming straight to us or us doing our own research with them on the marketing side, right? To understand what they want. So at the end of the day, we're trying to build that product that will transcend Web3 and go to Web2. And the best way to do that is just give the people what they want, ask them what they want, and really deliver that and focus less on anything that we might think is cool internally.
Yeah, totally agree. And most people don't realize that like how marketing in a sense it is like product and marketing needs to have a good dialogue. You know, if you don't have that, if it, as you said, like this happens better if the team is not that like if you have a small team is not that big.
Yeah, I also think there's a difference between what I've noticed in Web3 and Web2. So like Web3 marketing is very much like social media driven or doing posts there and I don't know, really limited to that on some projects of people that I've talked to. Whereas in my world, in the Web2 world, so my background is working like I led a marketing team or I lead a marketing team at Microsoft right now. The marketing leaders are the ones who lead the P&L, which essentially means they manage the budget, they manage the profit and loss, and they own the business. So if it goes down, it is their fault first, right? They're essentially like the mini CEOs of their small businesses across the entire org. So like we in Web2, I think marketing is taken less into like, oh, let's just like drive awareness and more on like you own this business,
Yeah,
tell us what we should do. And
make it
and I
work.
think our team, what's that?
Make it work.
Yeah, exactly. And I think our team does a really good job of balancing that where like our CEO Cause is not just a developer first, right? Like he essentially is almost like a CMO as well as in himself because his whole purpose is like let me manage this budget and ensure that this company is successful for years to come. And let's not just try to get quick little buzzes or quick little wins or quick little funny social media posts. Like this is an all around marketing campaign for years to come. So we have to focus on that long term strategy and the user first.
Yeah, totally agree. I think you tapped into different points, like partnerships, product. There is the awareness part of it, of course, and you guys are a marketplace, right? Um, there is in the marketplace these two components, and I worked into an NFT marketplace.
Yeah.
Like one of the startups that I worked, it was Niftify, and it was a DeFi project, but also an NFT marketplace. When you are building a marketplace, it's very difficult um, to balance these two things. You know, it's like a shopping mall. You know, you need to have the flagship stores that will drive a lot of people into the shopping mall, but at the same time, you need to have people to be passing into the in the front of the stores.
Yeah.
So how are you driving growth for these two areas, and what comes first, like the chicken or the egg in this
Yeah,
situation?
that's a good question. I mean, I think we think about all the channels. I know this is going to be just a very PC answer, but like, we think about all the channels equally. So, like one channel that we consider is distribution, right? Like, what's a big way to bring more users on? It's to make it be available where users go. So, one of the things we're doing right now is building that iOS Apple app store, or our app, and our Android app. So that again will help increase distribution there. It help increase, especially among Web 2 people who they
Mhm.
aren't really used to getting new apps and getting a PWA download and doing all that stuff. So that's going to help with the distribution on that angle. On the awareness and let's say driving more creator side, that's why we're launching products like calls that's coming out probably in the next week. So again, we've had a lot of creators say, hey, I'd want to join, but I don't necessarily want to DM or answer DMs or have a group chat. Maybe I'd sit down for a call with somebody if they're willing to pay XYZ amount. So it's like, okay, let's make sure we have calls there, because that'll bring some other huge creators that we've already talked to the platform, which then in turn will bring more users, right? And then we're also trying to find new ways, not only in the UX design, but also just the products that we're implementing to help the users, not only help the users with obviously picking new creators they can connect with, but also help the investing side, because that's a component of it, even though we focus a lot on the connecting side. So we're constantly doing different mechanisms, like we've burned a lot of the minutes or a lot of the dollars just to ensure that those prices stay up, right? We've added a deflationary component to the prices to ensure that those come up. So although we understand that, like, it is not our job to essentially like hold the price, and we're not accountable for the prices, just like any tokens, like we are trying to do things that show that, like, hey, we are trying to ensure that your investment is going to be profitable in the future, as long as you're a long-term investor in us. So a lot of these things we do, we think about the users, what kind of users we have, what kind of creators we have, and what we'll have in the future.
Awesome, awesome, awesome to have this. As you said, like the economy part of it, it is not like people don't think as part of marketing, most of the time. But if you want the apps to succeed, if you want the protocol to get to the market, you need to do this kind of stuff. You know, you need to design strategies to make this work.
For sure,
And
for sure. And that was actually another product that we thought of at launch, which was, I'm not sure if you're familiar with this, since we've kind of gated creators so far, but like a lot of our creators, I think almost all of our creators are choosing to donate a portion of their earnings. So one of our cool utilities is, hey, if you're going to be a creator, you can donate under up to 100% of your earnings to charity. So that's something that Totally has done as well. So again, whenever he answers a DM for $500, that all goes to St. Jude's. Or when he just did an auction that came out to really, we just did a recent auction where people could pitch their startups to Totally. They each get 10 minutes to pitch, which is like invaluable in my opinion. Each of those people, each of those founders spent $25,000 to connect with Totally. So that whole $75,000 went to St. Jude's. So again, I think the cool thing about our product is it's not only doing well with the connecting with creators, and not only doing well with the investing portion, but we've almost donated $400,000 to charity in less than 2 months. So you can do good and be good and have a good company that's profitable and such. So I think all these components are helpful, but we also understand that the charitable component side is a thing that can drive other creators. Like, is
yeah,
Taylor Swift going to join to get $1,000 per DM when she's already almost a billionaire? Like, probably not. But would she potentially answer those questions if it all went to charity? Potentially. So like, we're always thinking about how to improve that creator, how to improve the onboarding of creators, but also how to, I guess, to do good, right?
yeah, that's an awesome idea. Yeah, and I think that sometimes you need to have this kind of insights when you are building something, because it's even though like even more if you are building think like experimental tech protocols,
For sure, for
because
sure.
if you don't do this kind of different angles, you end up with the same as Web 2, and like you are trying to disrupt things. You are not
Yeah,
trying to
yeah,
comply. And yeah. Um, and one question is that I would like to make is about the narrative aspect, because crypto is a very much narrative driven ecosystem, which
hmm
I don't think it's bad in a way. I think it's quite good because makes us move faster and experiment in a faster pace. Um, but at the same time, like narratives comes and goes. As you mentioned, like the social fi creator economy had this apex, I would say, in the French tech era. um, and right now, like I saw today, actually, I was in the Solana economic zone in here in Dubai, and in the VC panel, someone of the panelists, I don't recall who, but told about creator econ being bullish on creator economy and social
yeah,
fi. Um, but like we are not, I would say, we are not in the bull market or the bull run of
yeah,
this
definitely not.
narrative. Yeah, how to manage. So the question is how to manage like this, even though you are not in the narrative itself. Like narrative is not there yet, but you're building in this direction.
Yeah, I don't think the narrative. I understand what your point is in crypto, that often things pump and dump based on a different narrative. I
Yeah,
do think that a couple things that we put in place would separate us. One, I think that our app offers a true utility that really transcends the time and doesn't really need a narrative. Like if you want to connect with, imagine if you're a startup founder and you want to connect with another founder, or you want to connect with a potential VC or an investor, or if you just want to connect with somebody who's like a popular social media person like Soul Jakey or like Amaranth, like you can always do that. So it doesn't need to be like a specific time that's more exciting to do that or not. You can always connect with them. So I think that really transcend, the, for lack of a better pun, time
yeah,
for us. But I think we also have put in things in place to ensure that, put in some defense mechanisms in place to ensure that the crypto volatility doesn't harm us. So if you notice on our app, everything is in USDC. So that's to ensure that, hey, if Solana goes down 50% or up 50%, we don't want our users, our creators, our investors to kind of run away because something's going down or going up, or oh, I need to take my money off of this platform because it's just, I'm essentially staking it in the platform and then I'll lose the value. Like we're ensuring that everything is in USDC to decrease that volatility. And again, not only great for the crypto ecosystem, but also great for Web2 people who, I don't want a Web2 person to put in $1,000 to connect with somebody and then it's worth $700 the next day and they did nothing, right? So we're trying
mhm.
to decrease that volatility and ensure that our story maintains consistent throughout time, and that I think that value and that utility maintains consistency throughout time as well.
Yeah, it makes total sense that like there is real utility here. And I think one of the things that French Tech at the beginning didn't, like as you mentioned, not being USDC based. I think it was an error in a sense, because the you had this component that you need to be bullish on ETH at the same time of being
For
bullish
sure.
on the creator. So
For
it's
sure. And I think another component that we also solved for from Frentech was like, if you remember Frentech, you had to buy somebody's key, and then if somebody else did, your price went up. So let's say I
yeah,
waited a day, and the next day it's just two times as high. Then you kind of felt like you missed out, and then you felt weird, like, okay, what if I buy it now and then the price tanks? All of those things were like really tough, even if you just wanted to connect with somebody. So that's why we also instilled fixed prices. So no matter what, if you want to connect with Toli today, or if you want to connect with Toli in 10 days or in a year, his price right now is $500. It'll be $500 then too. So like, I think we've also put in places to defend against that kind of volatility as well. Now, I know that he still has a token that'll go up and down, obviously, but if you want to connect with him and bought at that moment that you sent the DM, then yeah, you've removed the volatility component of it.
yeah, and it is freely traded. You can trade at any time the your the right to to
Yeah,
talk with.
yeah, yeah. You can buy or sell the minutes anytime that you want. Right now, certain creators, like the bigger ones, have actually already bonded over to Radium, so you could even trade them off app. We did
Yeah,
instill a mechanism though to ensure that creators are still getting paid for those trades off the app as well. Again, another thing, another learning from a friend tech where people would get frustrated when people would buy on contract and the creator wouldn't get the rewards. Like we're always trying to keep in mind, like how do we ensure that the creators get the rewards?
right, right. Yeah, yeah. Because I was thinking about the meme coin, like the celebrity meme coin era. Like
Oh
it
yeah,
wasn't
yeah,
like so much time ago. I think end of the last year was the
for
apex of
sure,
it.
for sure.
Um, and one thing is they didn't have any value. And
Exactly. There was no utility behind them. So it
yeah,
was just kind of like a this person's name was there. Whereas I think
it's
we
the magnetic
separate
value
our
just that. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, exactly. And where we separate ours is like those founders like a Totally would never launch a meme coin. And all
yeah,
these other people would never do that, right? This is they're launching on
yeah,
our platform knowing that like, hey, this is to connect with me. This is a pure utility type coin. So yeah,
yeah.
I was not a big fan of the celebrity launch meta when it was all them coming out either.
Yeah, yeah. I think most people thought that Trump and Milei never never launched it. They would never launch
Only up,
it,
yeah.
but eventually they did. Who knows?
Yeah.
Uh, and one question here, I want to focus a little bit on like the CMO role of crypto because
Yeah.
uh, most of the times, like why I started doing this live stream. That I will keep doing this series with other CMOs, but the idea is most people in crypto as we were talking right now we I think defied most of the consensus of people that don't work with marketing in crypto think about marketing crypto. Most people think that marketing crypto are giveaways or growing social
Yeah.
media and things like that, and we never mentioned that here, like so far.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to clarify more to people what is marketing in crypto. Um, that's one thing, and the other thing is that I want to have this benchmark of how other CMOs think. I could make this like a one-on-one call with everyone, like
Yeah.
uh, in time.fun.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
at the same time, I was thinking like I'm a marketing guy, right? If I'm doing this, I need to do it in the right way. So the better ways to do is in the live stream, right?
Well,
So
we'll eventually might be able to do everything on our platform, so just give us time.
yeah, exactly. Uh, a question that I have is more about the tools that you use and the frameworks that you like to use or you want to use on the project itself. Like if you use any type of analytics, if you're a more data driven person, or if
Yeah.
you want to use some type of framework that is very specific for what you're building. So I want to tap on that real quick.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say that you need to use a specific tool, but I kind of mentioned it in the beginning, and I'll kind of riff off some things like analytics is very important to us. So we can see every creator, their earnings, how many people have DMs, open DMs, not open DMs, how many people have group chats or not. Like those things are very important, not only so you can connect with those creators and see, like, hey, why didn't you launch XYZ, but also we can understand kind of activity and involvement. So I'm big on analytics. We use different dashboards for analytics, but I also like when and we're also working on our own public Dune. So again, crypto's all about transparency. We want people to see those analytics as well. So we're going to have that available for people. Other things like honestly, like crypto. One thing that it has that I think is even better than a lot of Web 2 things is we've got a lot of great designers. So we've worked with a couple different designers, design firms. I always think that's super important for marketers to be involved in because obviously, if you're going to design something, it is to appeal to consumers. It's to make things easier for consumers and for them to understand and digest it easier. So that's also a very big component of it. Like marketing should always be involved in research, should always be involved in design, should always be involved in strategy. Like I mentioned in Web 2, the lead marketer is really the person who owns the P&L or who manages the entire business. So they need to be involved in those strategy meetings because they know the implications that those products can have on the roadmap, right? And then lastly, like I know this is the easier one, but like yeah, like awareness, content creating, like you don't need to be so involved and so I guess like I know a lot of people focus on like, oh, daily content or multiple times a day or whatever. Like you don't need, in my opinion, you don't need to do that as much because then people will see your brand all the time, sure, but they might just kind of gloss over it because they're just like, oh, there's another like meme posted, I'm not going to pay attention. Where you can have other strategies where you're like, hey, let's only post the most important things, or let's elevate others who are posting about us. So there's just a lot of different things to think about as a marketing leader, as a CMO, I'd say.
Nice, nice to hear that. And you need to have this 360 view outside, but also inside. Like you need to
For
have
sure.
this, as you said, like be in the meetings that people will decide the strategic aspect about the product. Because if you're not aware of that, or if you're not part of the building of it, it's hard for you to market something that you for or you don't believe in,
Yeah.
or you don't see how it has like flywheels to grow the usage, for example, or even the, like, as you mentioned, you need when you have this type of platform, you need to increase the time spent inside the platform, not only
Yeah.
numbers of users. So it is a game
I even
changer.
like I even read through all of our back end developer and front end developer chats. I don't understand half of it half the time, but like I like being like reading through and asking clarifying questions because
Yeah,
then they kind of talk to me like I'm a 5-year old, and it makes things easier. And then that makes it easier for me to be like, ooh, this is a good thing. Let me actually tell people about this. Let me actually push this component, right? Whereas somebody else might think
yeah,
it's super high technical, whatever. We might be able to simplify it for me. And that's a really good thing about our company. Pretty much everybody other than me is a developer. And yeah, they're making super complicated, dope things. And I luckily, I don't know anything. So they teach me like I'm a 5-year old and I can easily communicate that.
that's nice. That's very nice. uh and then another topic is like most people, and when you search for Web3 marketing communities, one narrative that really it is a narrative that have been in this space for a long time is that Web2 marketing is totally different from Web2 or traditional marketing or digital marketing as a whole. How do you see that? Do you see that is another stuff totally different? Uh,
I think that's false. I think
yeah.
it's because Web 2 marketing is always founded in different, let's just call it like channels, right? So like
Mhm.
even though yeah, when I'm working at Microsoft, I'm going to focus on a distribution channel. I should still focus on a distribution channel in Web3. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be the same thing, but the fundamentals are always there. The fundamentals
Yeah.
around distribution, around media, around strategy, around outreach, awareness plays, like all those things are the same exact things in my opinion. Now the reason why I think people might see it as different is because there's just a million projects launching in Web3 that wouldn't launch in Web 2 because they wouldn't get the funding in Web 2 most likely.
Yeah.
And we see them all the time. These ones that just come here for a week and disappear, and for some reason everyone's talking about them for one week, and then because they hire the agencies or whatever, right? And they hire the right people and pay the right people, and then they go away. And like I think that's might be why it's different because I don't think that would ever happen in the Web 2 land. But as far as like fundamentals, if you're actually going to have a company that's going to be here for a long time and be a sustainable company that grows and provides value, I think you should stick with the same fundamentals. Yes, you might turn on outreach a little bit more in Web3. You might turn on partnerships a little bit more in Web3. But at the end of the day, like all those fundamentals are there.
Yeah, yeah, for 110% agree. And how would you advise like a traditional CMO coming to the Web3 space? Because you did that, like you did that job. You
Yeah.
came from Microsoft. So how what tips or things that will make his life or her life easier.
I think the biggest thing is just understanding the Web3 culture.
Mhm.
Especially, I mean, even chains have different cultures, right? So, like,
Totally.
understanding, you really have to understand the Web3 culture, the chain culture, and who your user is. But again, that same fundamental where I was talking about where there's no differences, even if I'm a Web2 person and I'm hopping on a different product or a different company, I have to understand my audience and understand that culture. It's
Right.
just maybe going to be a bigger learning curve in Web3 if you're unfamiliar with crypto and unfamiliar with kind of the landscape that we're in and the players who are here. But that's the biggest thing that I would say is I have seen a couple. I'm not going to name any, but I have seen a couple Web2 people come over and try to be successful here. And again, yeah, they don't first start with understand who your audience is, and that's always number one.
Yeah, I totally agree. I remember a head of marketing that I met before that were in Web3 for quite some time. Did a great job, and then he jumped like in the bear market. He jumped to pharma.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and then he had offers like to work in like had this head of marketing in like e-commerce in Mexico, and people didn't care like he was in crypto for 2 or 3 years because they knew it that a good marketing person is a good marketing person.
Exactly, exactly. And at the end of the day, the data is all that matters, right? If you can prove
Yeah.
out how many users you brought, your revenue, your awareness plays, you can show them different content that you've created. You can show them the roadmap that you had built out. Like again, yeah, a Web2 person's gonna be like, hell yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But the cultural aspect, as you said, like if you're a good marketing person, that's where you start, right? You understanding your audience and staying in understanding the right way to talk and
Yeah,
the best distribution channels where people are. Like if you are trying just to apply rough strategies that will not work. But as you said, like fundamentals are fundamentals.
for sure.
Um, and like one other aspect of it is that we see a lot of tooling as well being developed into Web3. Like we had a lot of like things being developed in the crypto Twitter to be used to understand influence KOLs, clusters, and stuff like that. We had Kaito, the
Oh
yaps
yeah,
from
yeah,
Kaito. We had Cookie Tree with KOL intelligence and stuff. I see that in that sense, like in marketing tooling for Web3 specific and things that could be applied to Web2 as well. Like um, I think in Web3 everything is more financialized because of the own nature of crypto.
yeah.
Uh, like we're talking about social fight, right? So how do you see these toolings or evolutions of these kind of platforms in the future? Do you see this as something valuable that could even transcend to Web2, like be useful for a market intelligence
Yeah.
company or data company, big
I
data
think
company?
I think that a lot of the data that they have is super valuable. So, like, I'll give one example. The smart followers that Cato has, I think, is super impactful because then you can really look at that. If you look at that list, you'll see or accounts with like 200,000 followers that have like 100 smart followers, right? And you're like, okay, this count is like clearly botted up. It's
Yeah,
not somebody who's probably a value add to add as like a creator on our side, right? So like that's been actually helpful, and I've actually utilized that to kind of really parse through like who are the legitimate voices that are there who actually have the legitimate followers. I will say on the other side though, for companies, I think some companies have done it well, and it really depends on like how much you'd have to do a financial analysis. But I do think some companies are really just ripping into it, throwing money into it, and just hoping to get people to talk about them. And in
yeah,
my opinion, like having like that manufactured awareness where like somebody's talking about you, but they're probably not going to actually convert to a user. Like, are they actually on the app? Are they actually paying to connect with people? Like that's one thing where I'd love to know what those companies are due to understand that because I have seen a lot of companies give away a lot of money for kind of those manufactured tweets.
yeah.
People just adding them consistently to get the yaps and the money there. So yeah, that side of it I'm not as big of a fan in. But again, like I'd have to look at the financials and see kind of what the ROI is there. But I'm a huge fan of, like you mentioned, the grids, the smart followers, all the other analytics that it comes behind each person, because it can really help us understand who's the valuable people to reach out to.
Yeah, totally agree. And sometimes like you have people that don't have like that much in numbers, following numbers and stuff. Uh, but they had like great people following them, like they
Yeah.
influence influencers, right? So
For
it's
sure, yeah. There's people with like 6,000 followers who have way more smart followers than somebody with 200,000. And
yeah,
then you go look at them and you're like, oh, yeah, because this person's legitimate. But it's really hard to understand who those are because, like I mentioned, there are different communities, different cultures within each chain, without each
yeah.
chain. So, like, sometimes I'll see somebody that I've never heard of before. And then I finally see them on Cato and I follow them. And I'm like, oh, yeah, this person's legit. And
Mhm.
I only was
Yeah,
able to find them through that.
yeah, yeah. And uh like you guys are on Solana, right? So
Yeah.
what made you choose, like, this is just a curious question.
Yeah, so we actually did. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the background, but we actually did a kind of like soft beta launch on base
Hmm.
back last early fall, late summer as well. And that was really trying to understand, like we mentioned, like the culture of different chains, understand different users, understand. Okay, now we've launched here. Like, what would convince you to use it? Is it this chain? Is it a different chain? And then understanding kind of the types of people that we think would join even newer startups, right? I do think that Solana, what we found out, was not only a chain or the people on that were more they were more interested and likely to join new things because they just loved trying new things, and I think that was huge for us. But then also just like the culture of connecting with each other also was a big thing for us. So yeah, we ultimately chose Solana. Now at the end of the day, like we have investors from Solana, so that was always on the roadmap. The discussions was really around, do we go multi-chain or chainless or just Solana? It was never going to be like a, are we just going to be base or not, right? But yeah, I think it just made sense in the end, and just the complexities on the back end to just go one chain, especially because our main goal is to go Web 2, and people will essentially not even know what chain we're on
Yeah.
in the future. So yeah, why add that added complexity? And let's start first with the people that would support us the most.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. The two things I think make sense, and they are quite like people can view that that's quite opposite. But like one is the culture of the ecosystem. The Solana, every ecosystem has different cultures.
Yeah,
Base have I think bigger culture on had a bigger culture on agents, like AI agents. All things happened on Base basically, something in Solana, but very nascent compared to Base. But Solana, one of the characteristics that Solana has is Solana, first of all, have a lot of founders, have a lot of startups being created, right?
exactly. Yep.
So
And a lot of people trying them.
yeah, exactly. So like you have a lot of users experimenting, but also founders that need fundraise or they need partnerships and need to connect with everyone. Like we have an ecosystem of events that is very big in Solana, right? If you go to the like Solana tour for the coming up the token 2049 here in Dubai, you have a bunch of events that are Solana related. One of those are Solana Economic Zone for Super Team UAE. But if you go to the US, we'll have like Accelerate and a bunch of events
Yeah, yeah.
there as well, because of this necessity of people getting together and talking and having partnerships, fundraising as well. So it's a necessity for the ecosystem, and I think you guys felt that way, right? You mentioned
For sure.
that's it. One thing, and the other thing is you guys want to be like as native as Web3 as like but at the same time Web2 friendly,
Yeah.
and people don't need to know where they are. So I think this is the ultimate goal for any consumer app.
Yeah,
I think
exactly. And Solana also allowed us the utility of like the speed and the cheaper transactions, and a lot of people don't know we actually cover all the gas fees because again, we don't want a user to come from Web 2 and be like, oh,
yeah,
you need to now deposit into your wallet to pay for
mm,
gas fees. Like, no, that's a horrible experience. So again, we made the decision knowing that we would take the hit financially, but knowing that that is a much better user experience for non-crypto natives.
yeah, perfect. Actually, like I never tried Time.fun, but you're convincing me to try. I'll be
Yeah, try it out.
I'll, I'll, I'll be
We are
there.
We are still gated from like a creator standpoint. We've onboarded 210 creators and haven't allowed
Uh-huh.
more, but we do have 33,000 users now. And we are going to be opening it up soon. We did announce that last week where you will be able to just sign up anybody as a creator soon. We were just working to ensure that we could handle that scale.
Mm-hmm. And then, so like you mentioned that the number of users.
Yeah.
One question, like I'm a very campaign driven person. When I talk about marketing planning, always I don't like this idea of perpetual, like you are perpetually building or growing your stuff, your project. I want to see campaigns and to have this kind of timeline of flywheels, growth flywheels that people can jump into in a quicker, uh, like create a peak of interest of attention, and then jump in and enter, and then season one, then season two, season three. I like that kind of strategy
Mm.
to grow. I think it's more aggressive in a way because you drive a lot of attention. Um, how do First of all, how do you think that? And if you think like the same, you like campaigns or something like that. Um, did you have any campaign that drove more growth, or if you like, what drove growth most for in the user point of view?
I think what drives most is when we bring on a new creator.
Mm,
So we've intentionally, and we'll announce why, we've intentionally held off on onboarding a new creators recently because we have a big update coming. But yeah, when we would onboard when Totally joined, or when Amaranth joined, or when Raj joined, and Mert, and like when all these people joined, that's truly what was flooding people in. And a lot of people think, oh, they must have been flooding in because they wanted to buy their time and potentially like sell it and ride the wave. And that's true for some. But what was also true is those people are the ones that receive the most DMs. So we have about 2,000 DMs that have been sent total. So again, people are using the app to connect with those people. So the main driver, I'd say, for the users is that new creator and a new person that's like, oh crap, I actually do want to connect with that person.
yeah,
And then they see other people on the platform once they notice that. So that's a big thing. As far as campaigns are concerned, I'd say I like focusing more on like specific product launches that would drive different types of users. So,
hmm,
like we mentioned, we obviously had our normal launch, but we're going to have our calls coming out soon. So, we're going to do a big push around calls. But then, to your point, when points come out, which we are going to be launching a points program to really incentivize consistent users and people who have been not only using the platform, but will use the platform in the future, I think that'll be another huge driving component. And I don't know if we'll call it a specific season or not, because we did have a portion of it on our beta launch as well. But yeah, I think the points campaign will be a big one, because again, it is another kind of driver of users to be like, hey, you know what? I could connect with people. I could make money trading. I can make money holding minutes. We also have like an award pool where they can hold. But I can also make points, and we'll see what that turns out to, and kind of gives people an exciting speculative component on top of that as well. So yeah, I do think that the points program will drive a lot of hype, especially when we open it up to everybody to be a creator. Then you might get those more nostalgic feels like you had with Friend Tech, where it's like, oh, people can buy my time and I can buy
yeah,
their time. We can join each other's group chats and stuff like that.
yeah. And like this gated thing about about creators, it was the intention, it was really to make this in a more paced, the announcements more paced, or it is kind of, there is a FOMO component on it. What do you
I'd
say?
say it was mainly driven by the scalability first. So I don't know if you noticed, but on our first day when we launched, it like crashed for a couple of days. Like we got so much attention and so many views, which is great. It's a good problem to have, but it also
Yeah,
was like,
it
oh man,
is.
like,
It
that was
is.
just like a lot to handle. And then it did I think one more time after that as well. So we're just ensuring and testing. So like when Ansem launched, we learned a lot when he launched, and he even launched 2 weeks afterwards. So we're constantly learning a lot with these big launches to improve the app. So then when we open it up, we don't want another crash to happen. We want everything to flow smoothly. So that was like one of the main reasons to start. But then yeah, to your point, there's also the added benefits. Like the earliest creators are being rewarded because they're the few that are on there right now. And then we also
Yeah.
have, like, yeah, a bunch of people messaging us to join, and it kind of creates that FOMO atmosphere as well. So yeah, I think that kind of was an additional benefit to it. But I'm really excited. Like, I know I've been talking about it a lot on our team. Like, this is the main thing I'm excited for, because this was the main thing that I felt like that phone, or that connection and that excitement around people buying you and your time and you buying their time, like that to me is almost a psychological exciting component to it, that I'm excited for as well. So then people can start joining my group chat as well, or more people.
Well, totally, totally. Yeah, I I had a friend of mine that like last year we were like together in super team Brazil. He was a member. I was in the car team, and like we helped like each other a lot in like in feedbacking and stuff. He was
Yeah,
building a project, and then he got to like the end of last year he got into Y Combinator. So I think like I was thinking like how I could speculate into his like time, you know, because I know that
exactly.
yeah, a lot of people want to talk to him now. It's very disputed, you know. So
Exactly. So if you got in early, if he joined Time Fun and you got in early,
yeah,
you could buy up a bunch and wait and be like, yes.
yeah. I will keep. I was starting buying some, speculating on some builders that I know and I believe, and
Yeah,
that works. Nice,
definitely.
nice. And you said that calls will be one of the next features. What I think is very interesting to have.
Yeah.
Do you guys like one of the things that I saw in the market before? I don't know how it works in depth, but I know that it exists. Is that you can create platforms that allow you to propose a co-host live streams and things like that, spaces as well, with other companies, with influencers or something. Are you guys interested on that front as well, or it is nothing? Is not something that you guys touched on? Like, how is the partnerships more and more enterprise
Yeah.
aspect of it?
We're definitely interested in those partnerships and have had a lot of those discussions. And yeah, products like live streams and stuff, we've had those discussions. We just have such a long list on our roadmap.
Mm-hmm.
And it's constantly being reprioritized. And again, if customers or if our users are asking for something more, we might elevate it more on the roadmap. But right now, we are focused first on the calls. It's both voice and video calls. We're really focused on that distribution channel of allowing the iOS and Android app to be released, and then we're really focused on some other small. I wouldn't call them smaller products, but a lot of things that people are requesting, and a lot of fixes that people are requesting, like feature ads in the group chats and feature ads in the DMs and things like that. So we're really focused on that and ensuring that our current users and creators are satisfied with what they have and show that we're listening to them.
Mm-hmm.
And then yeah, in the future, yeah, the end is that we want this platform to be the end all be all for you to connect with somebody in any way that you want. So yeah, if you can imagine any sort of connection product, it is probably on our roadmap.
Right, right, yeah, and you guys are opening up uncharted territory, right? So there is a lot of things to do and a lot of like it's a
Yeah,
market. Like when you think about Facebook in the early 2000s and then 2010s, they were in the social media social network market, and like you had like Orkut or things like that. So you had a lot of unexplored areas of the market because the market didn't exist like properly.
yeah, for
So
sure.
yeah, nice,
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, and I think we're also going to not only have like our products, but we're going to allow you guys to create your own as well. So one of the things we're going to launch is called like a custom product. So let's say you were like, "Hey, I want to offer a thread about a new company, or I want to offer a post about a new company, or a retweet or a like." We're going to eventually have those as well, and you can price those. So it's not, oh, the person has to first DM you and ask you, and then you get a price and handle stuff offline. We're hoping that everything can be handled on our platform on chain.
Nice, nice. Well, I it has been very very interesting to talk to you, Pedro. And
Yeah, it's been
I
great.
yeah, I'm very bullish on time. That fun, and also interesting insights on how you think marketing in the space. Um, just like to close in all, um, what which advice you'd give to any other CMO or head of marketing and inside crypto right now?
Yeah, I think I reiterated it a little bit, but I'll just say it again at the end. I think the most important aspect is to realize that you need to focus a lot on what your users want, but you don't have to spend a lot of money to start. So I think one of the pitfalls of Web3 is that they are just spamming money at agencies or spamming money at creators to kind of try to build that hype, and then that hype eventually goes away because that creator and that agency moves on to another product and another person, and like really trying to build those foundational marketing principles and focus more on those. So focus more on your long-term strategy, focus more on different awareness plays, focus more on your UX design, focus more on your analytics and research to constantly improve, focus more on your users. Like if you focus more on those aspects and don't think about those quick awareness wins or those quick things that you can pay for, like I think you're going to be a lot more successful because that money goes away quickly and it's really hard to measure the ROI of those investments.
Mm. Yeah, yeah, totally true. It is very, I'd say, sometimes you do a lot of those, and what you have, it is a base, a follower base that doesn't care about you. They care only about the hype that was built or the money that was in the table, and
Exactly,
that's it.
exactly. And like again, ROI is tough to measure, but like can you find some way or try to at least even if you understand the concept of ROI or conversion, I think that'll really go a long way. Like one thing that we always look at is like, okay, if this creator were to post, sure, it might get 100,000 impressions and 1,000 likes. How many users would that bring, and how much
Mhm.
revenue would that bring? Is it actually worth it? Or again, sometimes awareness is just an awareness thing, and you're like, whatever, like I'm going to lose the money, but I want my brand out there. I understand that's a component as well, but like especially for startups, you probably shouldn't just be doing that.
Yeah, I think if you do like in the early beginning, some campaigns should drive awareness just to break through, just to people know what you are. Um, it is good, but like if you do just that and don't keep it up and don't do other stuff to convert people or to retain people, keep people close to you, you just wasted money.
For
And
sure,
that,
for sure. It's all about, and at the end of the day, it's all about user acquisition and retention.
yeah, yeah, that's it. Perfect. Pedro, thank you for being here. It was awesome to talk to you. Thanks for your time.
Yeah,
And yeah, let's keep in touch.
yeah, definitely appreciate it. Appreciate you reaching out, and yeah, this was fun.
Thanks. Thanks, guys that watch it. 96 people watching. Perfect. Thank you all. And see you next time. Thank you.